I am Emily. I am 31 years old. Even after graduating from university, I continued living at my parents' home and have been giving them $1,400 every month. One of the reasons is that my father left a significant amount of debt, so our household had virtually no income. My workplace is an hour away from home, and given the responsibilities of my position, I often have to work overtime. I understand that it would be physically easier for me to move out and rent a place closer to work, but my mother constantly talks about menopausal symptoms and migraines, showing no intention of working. Not only that, she spends her days eating and sleeping and can't even do household chores. I felt compelled to take care of her. Above all, my mother lacks basic life skills, so I was concerned that if I wasn't around, she might end up doing something reckless. One day, during such routine life, I received an unexpected message from my brother. He said, "There's something important I need to discuss, so please be at home this Sunday." As Sunday approached, I whimsically wondered when the last time I had heard my brother's voice was. My elder brother, who is 3 years older than me, and his wife, who is a year older than him, arrived. To be honest, they looked nothing like what you'd expect from a couple in their 30s with children. Both had dyed their hair in shades ranging from blonde to brown and sported multiple piercings. My brother was wearing jeans that hung so low they seemed more fit for his thighs rather than his waist, paired with a flashy patterned yet cheap-looking t-shirt. His wife was in a thin, ultra-short gal-style dress with extremely long, gaudy nails that looked like witches, and exaggerated false eyelashes and colored contact lenses to the point where I wanted to exclaim, "How many are you wearing?" They seemed to think they were the epitome of style, but considering their age, it was an unthinkable fashion choice. I struggled to maintain my composure, trying not to let my face betray my astonishment. The couple, who came empty-handed, looked at the coffee I had prepared and the cream puffs I had bought from the local store, laughed and remarked, "Ew, so out of date." Yet, they messily devoured them and even asked for 2 more cups of coffee. With a satisfied burp, my brother abruptly declared, "From now on, we'll be living with Mom. So you freeloader, get out." Both his wife and my mother nodded in agreement, looking at me. Taken aback by the sudden news, I must have looked like a pigeon that had been shot with a pea shooter, as all of them began hurling harsh words at me one after the other. A leech in her 30s, living at home without even getting married. A pathetic woman who can't stand on her own 2 feet. A useless 30-year-old daughter parasitizing her mother. While I was astonished at how they could say such hurtful things, I could only stare at their animated mouths, speechless. At that time, our household couldn't function without me, both financially and in terms of chores. Admittedly, my mother wasn't particularly extravagant or fond of gallivanting, but due to her limited social experience, she was, for her age, quite naive or easily trusting. She was the type to fall for scams, like the It's Me fraud or pyramid schemes, often readily parting with her money. Most of the debt left by my father was actually accrued by my mother. I know my brother saw how much our father struggled with her tendencies when he was alive, and even she was painfully aware of her own vulnerabilities. I couldn't help but wonder what on earth they were thinking, saying such things, as the three of them practically spat out words at me, repeatedly and insistently hurling accusations like freeloader, leech, and parasitic daughter. I began to feel oddly detached. I thought to myself, they probably have no idea how much I contribute to our monthly expenses, or how much it costs to maintain this not-so-new house. Once that thought crossed my mind, their words somehow seemed insignificant. My brother and his wife have 2 young children, yet their monthly finances are always in shambles. Despite this, they still strive for a lifestyle beyond their means, constantly asking our late father for money when he was still alive. I've seen how distressed my father was because of them. As I recalled more and more, another question began to surface. Don't most daughters-in-law prefer not to live with their in-laws? I was able to comprehend this sentiment while listening to the words that three hurled at me. It's simple. Living with one's family means free land and utilities, and they might hope for consolidated household chores. Plus, they'd have someone to look after their 4-year-old and 2.5-year-old children, giving them more leisure time. In the case of living with in-laws, especially with a mother-in-law who loves to eat and sleep, it's unlikely she'd help with chores or babysitting. So it's doubtful things would go as my brother's wife might wish. Above all, it's hard to believe that my brother's income alone could support a family of 3. When my brother arrogantly declared, "As the eldest son, it's only natural that I take care of mom," and my mother gleefully agreed, saying, "That's right," my vision suddenly seemed to brighten. It was so transparent. Yet my mother easily fell for it, firmly deciding to live with my brother and his wife. Oh dear, are you sure that's a good idea? Haven't you been manipulated over and over again, Mom? You've had your fill of experiencing that when my brother sounds too good, there's always a catch, haven't you? Despite our father repeatedly warning us. Even after my father passed away, I supported our non-working mother, pretending to believe her fake illnesses stemming from her sheer laziness, and managed the household chores. While my brother was the pampered child, I was the exploited one. My brother couldn't even properly graduate from a bottom-tier high school, mocked as one where just writing your name guarantees entry. However, because of his decent looks, he developed an inflated pride and had a habit of abandoning anything that slightly displeased him. Yet, our mother showered him with an astonishing amount of affection. I worked hard, studied relentlessly to earn professional qualifications, and tirelessly job hunted for the career I wanted. But my mother practically turned a blind eye to all my efforts. Even after facing such blatant disparities in treatment time and again, I held on to the slim hope that things might change someday. But now that the hope seems foolish, I've had enough. This is just ridiculous. I don't have to tolerate being spoken to like that. I should leave. Yes, that's what I'll do. After all, in their eyes, I'm just a burden. That thought made me feel so much lighter. So I decided to take action. Fine, I get it. I murmured under my breath. Upon hearing my response, my mother and brother, with smack grins on their faces, nodded in agreement, saying, "Finally she gets it, and it's so frustrating how slow she is to understand." As if they couldn't even see me anymore, my mother and my brother and his wife excitedly discussed their plans to live together. With a particularly detached gaze, I thought to myself, they seem to view me as a burden, but my income is actually 4 times that of my brother and his wife combined. The new apartment I later rented is just 3 stations away from my workplace, just a bit over 10 minutes by train. I could even commute by bicycle or on foot. It's only 1/6 of my previous commute time, so even with the overtime and demanding work, the physical strain would be minimal. Feeling quite relaxed and thinking of the warm seasons ahead, I started getting excited about the idea of walking to work. Since I can now allocate most of the money I used to give to my family home to my rent, I choose an apartment with a spacious living room, a walk-in closet, and 2 6-mat rooms in a 2 LDK layout. I intend to use the 2 rooms as a bedroom and a workspace for when I need to bring work home. I set up a large bed and TV that I couldn't have in my family home and replaced my slowing computer with the latest model. Then, when I officially decided to move out, I had all the electronics I bought with my own money loaded onto the moving truck. My mother and my brother and his wife, watching the process, had expressions of surprise, as if saying, "What? Why?" The refrigerator, microwave, oven, robotic vacuum cleaner, drum washing machine, dryer, every single one of them was carefully chosen by me, aiming to make household chores easier while working, and recommended by a friend who works at an electronics manufacturer. To my brother's wife, who hysterically exclaimed, "Why are you taking them? Those are our appliances." I responded with a calm smile. "I bought those electronics. They were just placed in this house because I was here." My brother's wife gritted her teeth at me, almost like a scene from an anime, but I wasn't scared at all. In fact, the whole situation felt almost comedic to me. "Leave them behind. We'll be in trouble without them," she shouted next. "Mom, you don't even do housework, so why would you need them? Besides, why would you think I'd leave behind things I bought, especially when I'm being kicked out?" As I answered with an even more relaxed smile, my mother continued shouting in an increasingly shrill voice, "Don't mess with me. Even though you are just a freeloader, why do you think our appliances are yours?" "Well, I'm off then. Take care, everyone," I said, and then climbed into the passenger seat of the moving truck. As I looked out the car window, seeing the astonished faces of the three people fading into the distance felt immensely satisfying. Some might say it's a bad trait of mine, but after being exploited for so long and then being thrown out like this, I think it's understandable for me to feel a bit of serves you right. The day after I started my new life in my new place, I received an angry call from my brother, asking, "What did you do with the two cars?" When I casually replied, "I'm driving one of them, and I saw the other," he shouted back, "Why would you do that? How are we supposed to live without them? Give them back." Hold on a sec. Both of those cars were in my name. Isn't it weird to ask me to return them? If you can't live without a car, drive your own. While I responded in this way, I couldn't help but think I was being a bit mean. I knew that my brother and his wife had traded in their own car. While it's hard to live at my parents' home without a car, one could just ride a bicycle, or even though it might be slightly inconvenient, there's also a bus service. If one isn't too demanding or extravagant, they should be able to get around, probably. Haha. My enraged brother shouted at me. "So, you're telling us to live in a house without cars and appliances?" I responded, "If you need them, just buy them yourself. You're working, right? So work hard and buy what you need." Then I promptly hung up, knowing that he'd probably come crying for help about other things as well. I didn't share my new address with anyone. In my new life, I adopted a toy poodle, which I had wanted for some time, and started living peacefully and carefully by myself and with my pet, living without the burdensome demands of my mother, who always expected me to carry her weight without lifting a finger herself, had shown me just how oppressive that lifestyle was. I now live comfortably, doing what I love. Although toilet training my dog was a bit of a challenge, my smart and adorable little pup quickly learned commands like sit, shake, lie down, and wait. He's also quite good at staying home alone and truly is a comforting presence in my life. I'm so happy. It's amazing. And then, unbelievably, just a month and a half later, my mother and the rest came crying for help. I was taken aback and thought, already giving up? Yet, I listened to the complaints from my mother, brother, and sister-in-law as they took turns calling me. They couldn't pay back the debts my mother had accumulated. They struggled with daily living expenses. They couldn't go shopping or leave the house because they had no car. And no one did or perhaps could do any household chores, with the children constantly making messes, scattering things everywhere, and running amok. My family home had apparently become quite filthy. You know, you kicked me out, right? So you don't need to report all this to me. After listening to all their complaints, I told each of them that. All three of them kept shouting the same demands. Come back, do the housework, give us money. I calmly replied, living alone costs money, so I can't help. Stop asking me for money after you've treated me so poorly. I'm busy with work and might be transferred soon, so I can't return. You three figure it out together. What shocked me even more during our conversation was finding out that both my brother and his wife had quit their jobs. Wait, why did you both quit? How did you plan to live without working? And to my astonishment, it seemed they mistakenly believed that they'd inherit some kind of legacy from our father. I was shocked. Seriously, how many times have I told you? What our father left behind is in the negative. In other words, it's a debt, inheritance, you know? My brother kept insisting, without listening to me. Since you left that freeloader at home and mom isn't working, there must be a hidden inheritance, right? So I suggested, if you were so sure, why don't you check the bank book my mom has? When they actually looked at it and realized there was no expected inheritance, my brother and his wife seemed utterly dumbfounded. They kept reaching out to me, saying things like, "Help us, come back, do the housework, I'm hungry, lend us some money." When I asked, if I lend you money, does that mean you'll pay me back? None of them had an answer. They probably never had any intention of returning the money and just saw me as someone they could endlessly exploit. Such unbelievable people. I can't help return, do housework, or lend money. So please stop contacting me. Goodbye. In the end, I said that and blocked calls from both my brother and his wife, as well as my mother. I doubt they have the resources or money to show up at my workplace. Whether my mother pays off her debts or how the three inept adults who hate working, now settled with 2 kids and facing escalating expenses, decide to live their lives. It has nothing to do with me anymore. I do hope they can become better parents or grandparents for the sake of the children. But well, it's probably wishful thinking. People don't change that easily. Even though I'm financially stable, I have no intention of being exploited anymore, and I have lost any sentimental attachment, so I have no intention of giving even a penny out of obligation. Actually, it seems I'll really be transferred. In fact, I might be assigned as the branch manager of a new branch opening in line with a new project. It's likely I'll be working there for the foreseeable future, so I'm thinking of buying a condominium nearby. It's a bit suburban, so I might be able to get a pretty spacious place. I'm excited about it. I want to continue working hard and enjoy my life with my little dog.